Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So it's been a while since I've had a 420, and I thought Donald Trump is going to be at the UN, and he's going to be given a speech representing America to the rest of the world. If that is not a time for 420, I don't know what is. So I am in the shower listening to this speech. This is not going to be a 420. There is nothing jovial about this speech. This speech is fucking amazing. It's amazing on many counts. There is a level, it takes a breathtaking level of not being aware of even recent American history, or at the very least being shameless enough to pretend as if it didn't exist, to give this speech. You have an American president that was 9 months ago, a reality show host, snarling at the world, shaking his fist, pointing to one country after the next that he's going to beat up like he's a bully after school. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is a grown man giving a speech to the rest of the world representing us. America has never learned this lesson. Regardless of how many times it has failed and all of the chaos it has caused, it has never learned the lesson that force, this idea of trying to impose your will upon the world, doesn't work. It doesn't work. Force doesn't get you the results that you're looking for. Force gets you more chaos. That has been the lesson of our influence around the world. Take a listen to the speech. Take a listen to the speech. The speech is amazing. It is amazing. Let's take a listen.
We must work together and confront together those who threaten us with chaos, turmoil, and terror. The scourge of our planet today is a small group of rogue regimes that violate every principle on which the United Nations is based. They respect neither their own citizens nor the sovereign rights of their countries.
Let's put that in context. Put that in context. This is an American president of the United States snarling at the UN, representing us, saying with a straight face that some other country out there has been taking it upon itself to not respect its neighbors, to not respect the other countries that were part of the United Nations. All the while, the United States itself unilaterally has made the choice that it can go into whatever nation it wants to go into to murder whoever it wants to murder. That is an amazing statement that a president is going to make. That is absolutely amazing. We've been murdering people left and right. There is no legislation whatsoever that allows a president to go into many of these countries. You can make a case for Iraq. You can make a case for Afghanistan. You cannot make a case for Somalia or Yemen or Syria. You can't make a case for any of those nations because none of that has anything to do with the original justification for 9/11. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We are the monsters. We are the monster that Donald Trump is after and that he's raining hell and fury after. He doesn't understand that. He doesn't recognize it. No one has given him a mirror. Ultimately, what he's looking at is North Korea as being a problem. And I agree that North Korea is somewhat of a problem. I'm making the point that we ourselves are antagonizing that problem. That problem is not a thing unto itself. That problem has something to do with us and the world around us. It's not like North Korea is this kind of separate entity that's floating out in the ether. What he is describing is us. What he is describing is us. Put that in context. What he is describing is us. The terror that he's talking about inflicting around the globe, that is us. 90% of the people that we were murdering with those strikes were civilians. That's us. That's us. We're the ones who don't respect our neighbors. We're the ones who go into these other countries willy-nilly, unilaterally. We went into a country and murdered 1 million people. Are you shitting me? Is this a conversation that an American president is going to have? That's amazing. Let's keep going. This is fucking amazing to me. That's what I mean with the speech. Is absolutely amazing. It is breathtaking in the level of dishonesty or shamelessness, whatever you want to call it. It is an amazing thing for an American president to get up there and give this speech. The American public may be somewhat unaware of America's behavior around the globe. I guarantee you that those world leaders are not. This is embarrassing. This is immensely embarrassing. Let's keep going.
If the righteous many do not confront the wicked few, then evil will triumph. When decent people and nations become bystanders to history, the forces of destruction only gather power and strength. No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more. We were all witness to the regime's deadly abuse when an innocent American college student, Otto Warmbier, was returned to America only to die a few days later. We saw it in the assassination of the dictator's brother using banned nerve agents in an international airport. We know it kidnapped a sweet 13-year-old Japanese girl from a beach in her own country to enslave her as a language tutor for North Korea's spies. If this is not twisted enough, now North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable loss of human life.
Let's be precise. Let's be precise in our language. What threatens the world with human life, or with massive loss of human life, as Donald Trump is saying, it's not North Korea as a single thing, as a single entity. It has to do with the United States' response. This idea that everything is a nail and the United States is a hammer and you just do what's said and everybody else will go about their way. That is an insane policy. I'm making the point that the issue here is not necessarily North Korea in and of itself. The issue here is the United States and how the United States is responding to issues around the globe. This country is terrifying. It's terrifying. Part of that terror has to do with the insanity that goes along with this kind of foreign policy. There is a breathtaking level of not paying attention to what this country has gone through and what this country has done, and the crimes that this country, for the most part, gets away with just because of its status as being a superpower. So yes, the United States can go into a country and kill 1 million people. Nobody says squat around the globe. It gets a free pass. 16 years, 17 years later, an American president, after being a part of that torture regime, the gulag that had on the side of the coast of the country, after being part of that, being the party that essentially started all of us, can still get up, shameless, as if none of that has taken place, and give this speech. Any country, all countries, have those vagaries of their history, have those vagaries, the things that other countries can say, look at the dirty and nasty, disgusting things that's a part of this country, and aren't you glad you're not a part of that country? All countries have their propaganda. So yes, that's great. You can pull up a lot of stuff about North Korea. I have no illusions about North Korea. I'm just making this point that this is a war speech. In these war speeches, oftentimes propaganda is being brought to bear. The United States, you can do the same thing with the United States. The United States was torture gulag. Look at the number of people that's in our prisons. Look at the number of people we incarcerate. Look at the number of people police kill and compare it to other nations. You can go on one thing after the next. I'm making this point that the argument that's being made here is North Korea is this horrible hellhole of a country, so it's somehow not as bad as if we topple it. It's okay if we topple that regime. This is the same speech or type of speech that was given during the Iraq War. These are the same proclamations that they made about Saddam Hussein. Oh, he's awful. He's killing babies. They're doing all of these horrible, disgusting things. They need us as our saviors. We got to go into this country. It is a just war. It is a just war. That just war killed 1 million people, and no, they did not have weapons of mass destruction. The argument that is being made here is that because North Korea is somehow a horrible hellhole of a country, that the United States can apply force to that country and it would somehow make it less bad. I'm saying that is an insane policy that has no justification whatsoever. If the people of North Korea want to undo what's going on in North Korea, that's up for the people of North Korea to do it. The United States needs to kiss off. The issue here, the flat fact issue here that we're talking about is that country has a nuclear weapon. That country has been acting out. I'm saying, is there any context to why that country is acting out? Does that have anything to do with the behavior of the United States around the globe and within regards to that country? Is there a history? Is there a history? This is when you start getting into context. The speech is none of it. The speech is breathtakingly shallow with this kind of ridiculous rhetoric that could apply solely, completely to the United States. It's amazing.
It is an outrage that some nations would not only trade with such a regime, but would arm, supply, and financially support a country that imperils the world with nuclear conflict. No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. That's what the United Nations is all about. That's what the United Nations is for.
You've just heard the President of the United States, a man who was a reality show host just 9 months ago, say he would destroy another nation. I will take the $1 trillion military budget that is afforded me, and I will destroy you. I will destroy that nation. I am Donald Trump. I am Batman, and I will destroy your nation. This is somewhat childish. It's somewhat counterproductive. And I have to be honest, it's immensely embarrassing. However I feel about it, it is immensely embarrassing. You have a country, for the most part, that's starving. You have a country that, if you look back over the history of that country, particularly with regards to our actions, meaning they'll call it the Forgotten War because nobody remembers that we were at war with Vietnam at one point. I mean, at North Korea at one point. South Korea, North Korea, the United States got involved on behalf of the South. We killed a quarter of their population. A quarter of their population. Or, yeah, a quarter of their population. That is a massive amount of people to die. Like, it's hard to put that in context. How many people? I'm sorry, a fifth of their population. It's not a quarter, a fifth. That is a massive number of people to be killed in a war. That is a massive number of people. We essentially just carpet bombed and murdered person after person after person. Now, you can make a case that that's war, okay. But at the very least, you need to put into context that between both of us, we have people on their border. We're supporting their enemy, who they're still technically at war with. And we have war games, again, on their border as if we're going to invade their country. Context matters. There are solutions to this that are non-military. The question is, Donald Trump going to take those solutions? The speech makes it look as if Donald Trump doesn't want to take those solutions. Now, they've come out. There were reports today saying, hey, we can do this, and it's not going to be that large of a loss of a life. This is the reality of it. The moment any strike on North Korea is immediately a strike from North Korea to Japan and to South Korea. There is no nuclear, there is no military solution to North Korea. Any solution to North Korea that involves military force immediately has Japan and South Korea being attacked. The mass loss of life that Donald Trump is talking about is a mass loss of life that Donald Trump himself is going to cause, just like the last goofball that was in that office. Put all of this stuff in context when you're thinking about it. This is a president giving a war speech, telling the country or telling the world, snarling with his fists shaking at the world on why it's okay for America to attack another country when they don't like that regime. Mind you, again, a lot of the speech could have been applied to America itself. It's amazing that America get up here and give the speech, or that any president or person who's associated with this country can get up there and give the speech in this way. Amazing. The rest of the world has to look at this with disdain. They have to. The people in this country, and look, there are two elements to this. There's the politics of it, meaning how it plays internally in the United States with Trump's base. And there's the reality of it. Right now, all of this, up to this point, I'm talking about the reality of it. I'm saying it is a bullshit speech. You've heard me give Trump credit when Trump would say something that I thought was actually, hey, I agree with that. I agree with nothing in the speech. This speech is immensely ridiculous, immensely shallow. And any level of history, any honest take of history, even over just the last 20 years, with a straight face, with any level of shame, the president would not be able to give this speech. Fortunately, we have somebody who's shameless. On the second point, for the basics of the politics of it, I would imagine if you're a part of that base that kind of wanted this kind of snarling face of America because you believe that other people were trying to take something that was yours, if you believe that these other forces and factors were keeping you down in some way, if you like this idea of America going around punching other countries in the face, and you believe that punching other countries in the face is the way to get towards peace, then yes, you thought the speech was fucking awesome. You thought the speech was awesome. This was the bully in the schoolyard telling everybody to kiss off. The problem with this is America is a declining power. It is a declining power. Ultimately, it just exports weapons everywhere else. Consumerism, this idea of this kind of false commodity of sorts of false markets, is the thing that keeps this country going. And ultimately, this stuff is just based on credit. It's a Ponzi scheme. Now, we ship weapons, we ship destruction and death to the rest of the world. Donald Trump can say whatever he wants in this speech. Ultimately, what this boils down to is the United States has gotten up there once again, just like it did, 16 years ago, and given an identical speech. That last speech, mind you, was them going into a country and killing 1 million people. I'm curious on how the rest of the world is acting to this or reacting to this. I'm curious on how the rest of the world is reacting. There are aspects of the speech where Donald Trump is saying people should, like when people don't do anything, when the good sit by and don't do anything, the forces of destruction rise up and everything else. There is a rest of the world. There is a Europe. Europe is a lapdog. Europe is a lapdog. Europe is actually quite embarrassing at this point. The United States government has unilaterally made the decisions to do whatever it wants. Europe is set by mum. It's set by mum. They're giving this speech right now with the American president only 16 years after invading a country that destabilized the entire region of the world. That destabilization caused a large number of people to flood into Europe. You would think Europe would have a lot to fucking say about an American president doing the same goddamn thing again. They're mum. They're mum. I'm amazed at this. These Europeans with thousands of years of history backing them, and they're mum. They have squat to say. It's as if the actions of the United States in no way affects Europe. That is insane to believe that. That is insane to believe that. I'll leave this. Donald Trump is going to turn his attention to Iran now. The next place he wants to punch in the gut and pummel. I will do a next video for that and keep this one concise. It's fucking amazing. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work of Patreon. Thank you.